This is a time when we're going to get to go a little bit back in the past and go through and debrief many of the bids that were awarded, and then go through some criteria to really help people who won the bids maybe know why, but also people who maybe weren't successful on this bid be successful on the next set of bids.
A big part of ensuring that this project is successful is that we all understand that we're not going to do it alone. I've had the privilege of facilitating the RFP and RFQ for the infrastructure and horizontal work, and then working directly with those design teams to get us to what is soon going to be our mass grading permits, our bulkhead permit, and eventually our advanced developers agreement. A lot of the due diligence that has been involved in regards to geotechnical evaluation of the site, traffic evaluation of the site, the expectation around how we're going to meet the city's obligations for mass transit have been under my purview as well. The common thread throughout all of our intentions has been the requirement of the MOU, and to ensure that we are meeting that obligation.
So Casey and I's main job is to keep the development team happy. We're working for the development team, and that's not an easy task. Very sharp folks over there. Our goal is to bring the general contractor in very early. We really like the collaborative approach. We find it very helpful to bring the general contractor in right around the schematic design stage. So that's usually what we do is we wait for the drawings to be about the SD level, and then we'll put out the RFQ. The RFQ is to qualify the folks, and then we like to narrow that down to 3, who we then follow up with an RFP. We'll dig into more questions at that point, and then follow up with interviews after that.
There's no magic Oz behind the curtain. There's human beings like Patrick and Alex Lorenz and other individuals, new hire John Giordani, who are analysts. And those individuals are working diligently 14-hour days, just sifting through all of the information and leveling them, and then ensuring that those questions that I know can feel tedious when reviewing and answering the RFPs and RFQs, they're not mundane to us. All of them affect a business decision from a GC's perspective and how it's a safety rating to what is your bondability, and then of course what is the team of which that you're presenting. So there isn't a artificial intelligence portion or a third party that we rely on. It's all done internally at Weller Development. This is not the first or last opportunity. We need to maintain a very open dialogue with everyone in this room and others. So just know that contractually, currently today, any infrastructure opportunities that are presented, you will be talking to me and Todd, and you'll meet Todd shortly, directly. So when you get those opportunities, and we'll ask very specific questions. Did you do an ag tech? Did you pull off how many cubic yards I need? Do you understand the expectations of the demo process and the amount of cubic yardage that I need to recycle and use back into the job site? When someone replies only with a number, with no explanation of how they got there, and I know it sounds simplistic, but it almost takes me back to grade school. We want to see the work. It's imperative to us that we understand that you have gotten through a thought process internally with your team, and you're sharing that. Depending on the dollar amount, it's going to be a year, and it's going to be a ability to present a team. So if you've been in the industry for well over 5 years and you are handling work that is $50 million and above, we don't have the luxury with the current obligations with the TIF requirement to start diving down and teaching people how to handle a project of this size. The goal is to find individuals that have been in business and have established themselves and have relationships that can be utilized to facilitate A, a budget that is required to the city, and B, a schedule that is required to our partners. Having someone who has had their feet in the dirt is, a key goal for us, or showing projects that have lasted, this project's going to last 3 years minimum. The infrastructure piece. So having individuals that understand the ability to balance a large civil project is key.
We have some GCs that'll look at it and go, this is impossible to do this stuff. And we say that you're not the right GC for us. You've got to come in here and be ready to figure this out and get in the weeds with us and deal with it. So that's what we're looking for. If you come to the table with a minority partner, a women business partner, or a JV, that's a big bonus as well.
Safety as a whole to me is more than just the word or let's just go do a toolbox talk. It's in the core of my being, in the sense that I take a very sensitive obligation to the individuals who show up every day and have to go home. I'm blessed to have 2 children. I want everybody that comes to our job sites to get home to whoever their significant others are. we are going to weigh heavily on your EMR rating. It affects us from a business perspective as much as it affects you. The lower your EMR is, the more you have a viable workers' compensation percentage rate. And then, of course, the old prodigy of, I'm going to send in my 8.5 by 11 safety plan. I don't work like that. I want to see how detailed you are. I want to know if it's a third-party evaluator, if it's someone that's on your staff. I want to know what you're going to do during the course of the bell-shaped curve of what a project is, and we start to get manpower from 20 to 85 people, and how you're going to handle that, and what that looks like on a daily basis, and how that translates to the interaction between the GC and his subcontractor base. The expectations from the Weller development team is we have full cultural expectations as these jobs go to, reward individuals who have low AMRs, to reward individuals who are able to maintain days without having incident, to reward individuals who are looking out for their teams and teammates and keeping them active on job sites. We are real and we want real responses. If you know we've missed something, oftentimes we're gonna expect you to put it out there. There aren't perfect RFPs or RFQs, so we're leaning into the people that are replying to identify, hey, I've done a very similar project. It was only in Silver Spring. I see that you've required a specific valve, and oh, by the way, did you realize the code changed? I'll be honest, man. We're moving at a speed next to light, and I'm not going to realize the code changed. That's why we hire architects and engineers. We want to know that you're pulling out the detail, and I know that may or may not be something that is done, but it will definitively put you on a higher level.
We're looking for a good plan of attack. If you've really thought it through, do you have the folks needed to do it? How many project managers do you think this project is going to take? How many superintendents? And if we're asking for the personnel that are going to go on it and the project's not happening for 9 months, you can tell us, hey, here's who we think is going to be the superintendent, but we can't guarantee that. We get that, right? But here's who you're going to be dealing with daily for pre-construction. Here's who the project exec is going to be. We want those resumes. We're going to look through them, and we're going to make sure that they've got similar work, and we're going to look at projects that we know people who've worked on and reach out to architects and reach out to other contractors and see how that person did. So that stuff's all important to us. But anyways, it's packaging up that RFQ, you get that in, and then the goal is to get to the next step where we narrow down to the 3. We'll then send the contract out. We'll send the schematic design drawings in most cases, and we'll send a brief, kind of here's when we think you can get started, show us a schedule.
Our process starts with anybody that's interested can contact Whiting Turner. We have a email address set up specifically for the job. It's infopc@whiting-turner.com.
So our process is similar in that we will have, it's going to be an open bid process for everything. We're going to post the listings through the Port Covington website. We'll list them through our website, as well as we'll go through some professional organizations we work with, like MWMCA, ABC, ASA. We'll list all of the opportunities through those organizations as well. Similar to Whiting Turner, we're using Building Connected as well. So if you guys have not previously used Building Connected, you can actually go on and set up your own information within Building Connected and use it for, I guess, again, Bozzuto, Whiting Turner, a lot of other GC organizations are using Building Connected as well.
Obviously, we need people that are working with us that have done what we're asking you to do, that you've done it before. I don't want somebody that this is their very first day putting in sanitary piping. So I need to see that you've done it before, that you've been successful in what you've done before, and that you know what you're doing.
When you're submitting a proposal, I'm going to use drywall as an example. Don't submit on, if we're building, well, the 2 buildings we're working on are 372 apartment units plus 30,000 square feet of retail. And we're willing to break up the packages to kind of work with everybody. However, what you do and your go-to is you do 20 to 30,000 square feet of retail, don't necessarily submit a proposal on the 372 apartments. Submit on what you guys have done in the past. We'd rather have somebody kind of scale up a little bit than attempt to scale from doing a 40,000 square foot project up to 300,000 square feet. Submit references, kind of have a project history list, some other GCs that you've worked with that we can call. That kind of stuff is helpful when evaluating new companies.
The city MOU, or Memo of Understanding, incorporates a number of different facets. One of them is minority participation, women-owned business participation, there's local hiring requirements, and so on. This is a huge part of what we're looking for when we're evaluating your proposals that come back in. It's all spelled out. You turn in your proposal and you check the box, yes, I read this, but then you tell me, how did I meet this requirement? What am I doing? Obviously, if you're a minority business enterprise, you met that right off the bat.
One of the issues we've kind of been running into with our preliminary budgeting now is just having broad conversation with subcontractors. They're submitting proposals to us and they're just saying, oh, hey, we read the MOU, we can't hit it, but here's our number. That automatically takes them out. If they're just saying, hey, there's no way we're hitting this, here's a budget, you're not gonna be involved in this project. It's important to us that everybody is reviewing it, acknowledging it, and providing a plan on, if they don't hit it automatically, how they intend to hit it.
After we get numbers in, after we see who your subcontractors are, I always ask them to pull that response. Because if you said in the beginning you could do it, then your feet should be held to the fire. This is a long project. You may have said it once and it may have been an inaccurate statement, but you won't get to say it again. And the converse, we see some people who were very conciliatory, talked about the challenges and are meeting the requirement. So it works both ways. It really is helpful just to have very open and honest dialogue on the MOU requirements as you make your submissions.
Whiting Turner is requiring bid bonds for every single proposal. When a contract is awarded, we will require payment and performance bonds for every subcontract with a value of $250,000 or more. The pace of the job is very fast. You've heard that before, and it's true. What I'm evaluating is, can you, as a subcontractor, meet the schedule that I have put together with Weller? The schedule is going to require more than one crew working simultaneously. For a smaller company, that might mean, how can you team up with somebody else so that together you have the capability to move at the speed that I need you to move? I need you to explain to me how you can do that. Don't just say, oh yes, that's no problem. Well, how? How many crews do you have? What is your capability? What are some of the sizes of the projects that you worked on previously, and how quickly did you do them? That way I know, oh, these people have more than just one truck and one foreman.
But we want to get subcontractors on early because we design a schedule that we think is realistic. And it's always good to get input from subcontractors on, hey, are we totally out of our minds, or is this realistic?
The most competitive submissions are the most complete, with the most thought put into them and the most accurate.
Thank you all again so much for joining us today. I hope that you all learned a lot. I saw lots of feverish note taking, so I'm hopeful that it was informative and helpful. If you are not currently registered on pc.city, please do that so you can stay up to date on all of the contracting opportunities and all the awesome things that are going on with the development. Also, please like us on Facebook. We have Port Covington as well as the Port Covington Impact page. We do lots of events like these, and you'll get first notice, as well as all of the other different community engagement events that we do as well. We would love to continue to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today.